What's up, Houston? It's Lisa again. I'm actually going to bring you two videos from our local news here, and in the middle of this, I will provide my commentary. I know I usually wait until the end of my videos to provide it, but since this is a two-part video, I wanted to provide it in the middle, but please watch till the end because, in my opinion, I believe you see our our mayor's real reaction to what's going on downtown. Anyway, really quick before I bring the first video to you, all views are my own. I do not give advice to you, so please think for yourself and decide for yourself. Not all content is appropriate for children, and thank you as always for joining me.
Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner tonight is responding after one of his top aides pleaded guilty to bribery. Fox 26's Donnelly Keith joining us live at Houston City Hall after speaking with the mayor about this. Donnelly.
Yeah, William Paul Thomas has worked in the mayor's office as the director of council relations since even before Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner was elected. And now Thomas has resigned after pleading guilty to federal bribery charges last week.
William Paul has chosen to retire. Yep, he has chosen to retire.
You can hear just how shocked Houston City Council members were when the mayor announced longtime City Council liaison William Paul Thomas had resigned. According to federal court documents, in May of 2020, Thomas, quote, agreed to use his official position to exert pressure on other officials to pass a Houston company at inspection and issue the company a temporary certificate of occupancy in exchange for money, so the bar could continue operating during the COVID shutdown as a restaurant.
True. It turns out to be true. I'm very disappointed. It is uncharacteristic.
According to federal officials, Thomas has pleaded guilty to the charges, which also include, quote, on July 6, 2020, a Houston businessman offered Thomas up to $13,000 to have the necessary permit issued quickly so the man's company could reopen. Mayor Turner has this message for the city's 22,000 employees, whom he says the overwhelming majority does a great job.
And I want you to adhere to the policies and procedures and to the law. Anything less than that is unacceptable.
After these federal charges, the city is now also expected to launch an investigation into Thomas's actions.
This information has just come to light. We will look at it. There's very little we can say about it. The process is confidential.
Now, William Paul Thomas has worked for the city of Houston for 14 years. He's expected to be sentenced in November. Reporting live from Houston City Hall, I'm Donnelly Keith, Fox 26 News.
Okay, so again, he will be sentenced in November. I'm sure that's a story come November we will be seeing a lot of on our local news, along with others, because they just like to put up other stuff sometimes to take up the news space. But that, again, is just my opinion. The next video that I'm going to bring you actually is on the same subject, and as I mentioned before, it is regarding what I feel, in my opinion, the mayor's real reaction can be seen here. So, again, please make up your own mind. I appreciate you all for being here. Just 1 second.
A lot to get to tonight, but we begin with the breaking news developments out of Houston's City Hall. We have learned the Office of the Inspector General is opening an investigation into a bribery case involving a former aide to Mayor Sylvester Turner.
That's right. William Paul Thomas pleaded guilty to a federal conspiracy charge just before he resigned for health reasons. Now he's accused of cutting deals with business owners to help get them permits. ABC 13's Micah Hatfield and Ted Oberg have been following this case for us since we broke it last night.
We want to begin with Micah Hatfield, who is live with new developments tonight. Micah.
Gina and Chauncey, you're in a position of power and you have the ability to make things happen. Court records indicate that William Paul Thomas pleaded to doing just that in exchange for money. For more than a decade, William Paul Thomas worked inside of City Hall. At the time of this federal investigation, he was serving as Mayor Turner's director of council relations. Federal prosecutors say he used his influence to make things happen in exchange for money and pleaded guilty to those allegations at the end of July. The newly unsealed charging document does not name who he took those bribes from, just calls them a businessman and says they operate a bar/restaurant and bar/nightclub. In May of 2020, at the start of the pandemic, that businessman apparently called and texted Thomas asking for help to get a temporary certificate of occupancy. Thomas agreed to do it in exchange for money, using his influence, even calling on an official at the Houston Fire Department for help, according to records. Within the month, they had the permit. Weeks later, same businessman asked Thomas for help after their nightclub was shut down by TABC. You'll remember, clubs and bars were not allowed to operate at the time because of the pandemic, but they still wanted to. Court documents say they offered Thomas up to $13,000 in exchange for his influence to have their establishment reclassified from a bar to a restaurant. Within 4 days, federal prosecutors say he had it done. Based on what we've read in this court filing, seemingly there are other city officials involved in this. My colleague Ted Oberg is standing by, and Ted, certainly the city has launched their own investigation.
Yeah, tonight, Micah, we've learned, thank you, that the Office of Inspector General has already started to open its own investigation, looking for those other employees, possibly at the fire department, possibly at the permitting department, that may have helped William Paul Thomas help these businesses obtain those permits. That news coming hours after those federal court documents were unsealed, showing that man who spent years just inches from the mayor inside city council chambers is now a convict, and legal experts say may be cooperating.
Applications are
Today, that spot behind Mayor Turner was empty. But for years, in meeting after meeting, it's been filled by William Paul Thomas, a very close aide to Mayor Turner, the point man to corral city council.
I trust him. I had no reason not to trust him.
Turner said he'd met with Thomas 3 times a week for years. And yet when he got Thomas's sudden resignation letter last week, Turner says he didn't reach out at all.
No, I did not, Ted. He sent me an email. He expressed that he was retiring for medical reasons.
And while that may be the case, Thomas and his lawyer aren't talking. His sudden retirement came a day after newly unsealed court records show William Paul Thomas pleaded guilty to that federal bribery charge. Turner claims to know nothing of the investigation.
We know nothing. No one has talked to me or my executive team.
The mayor pushed back hard at the idea the feds could be gathering information from Thomas to make a bigger case. And are you concerned they're looking at you?
No, sir, not at all. And for you to say that would be totally unfair.
But not hard for former prosecutors to believe that Thomas is saying something to get the kind of plea deal he did.
Just reeks of there being some kind of a deal that's been worked out.
And not hard for critics of Turner's on council to demand more answers about this and past concerns. In February, the FBI raided the Houston Health Department over the award of a COVID contract. And 5 months before that, Turner fired the former Houston housing director after he publicly suggested a lower-scoring housing deal got Aide at the mayor's direction.
This administration is bankrolling a certain developer.
Well, I'm very concerned. And in fact, it made me go back and hear in my mind over and over what Tom McClassen, the director of our housing department, said, that this mayor has created a culture of corruption.
In documents released back then, McCaslin said the mayor's leadership style and culture creates the breeding ground where fraud goes undetected.
It concerns me because what else is coming?
At City Hall, any effort to link them got an angry response from the mayor.
Let me finish, okay? Let me finish. And then you're bringing up Tom McCaslin. What in the heck does that have to do? Who makes allegations, no merit to them. And now you're trying to tie it all together. So what is the purpose here?
Mayor Turner today did direct the Human Resources Department at the city to remind all 22,000 Houston employees there are rules prohibiting solicitations, bribes, and taking gifts.